coming up on the outskirts of the Montreal suburban area anyways. Officially, this is not Montreal, it's Autoroute Park, Mount St. Hilaire, and then Beloeil. But I consider this pretty well part of Montreal once you hit this bridge right here. And usually there's always something going on with traffic right around here. Very seldom do you fly through here except in the middle of the night. In the evening, going the other direction, there can be traffic jams at least to right here, if not even further, going east. Going this direction in the afternoon especially, there can be traffic anywhere from around here. Sometimes you'll get to the turnoff for the 30 and then it'll hit there, sometimes before there, sometimes that'll be good, then the 30 is real bad, so it's always a mixed bag. You never quite know what you're going to get. There's not a complete rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes it almost seems going the other direction today. Traffic is worse later than it is early rush hour, which is weird. It doesn't really make sense, but I've noticed that. Could be just me. Definitely Friday is worse, like it is anywhere, of course. Friday's always worse. I've seen us lose an hour right here, just in traffic. The other thing that's interesting to note is almost always, the speed limit here is 100, almost always that right lane, people are going 90 or less. And not always because of the traffic either. Like right now, traffic's not that heavy, and that buddy's going 90, so I passed him. So we're not really supposed to stay in the left unless you're passing, but this section right here, if you're ever on it, if there's any amount of vehicles, I usually stay in the left as much as I can, because if you don't, like right now I'm getting over to the right because there's a little bit of a gap here, you'll see almost certainly I'll get boxed in up here on the right hand side going slow again. That almost always happens. If it's a lot of traffic, I suggest you stay out on the left and just stay there. Although in a car it's not so bad anyways, because you can speed up and get around people quickly, whereas us trucks, we can't really do that. It takes forever to pass anyone. But I do find that right around here, you tend to get boxed in the right lane. People coming onto the highway, leaving the highway, going slower, that kind of thing. So it is building up out here. Like course, the more things are more established. We're actually not that far from Montreal where we turn off to the 30. If you're going west at all, like you're not doing anything in Montreal, even though it's a cool city, it's nice to take pictures of and whatnot, I suggest you just bypass the whole thing. Years ago when I drove through here, when I used to work out of Montreal, they didn't have, Highway 30 did not connect to the 20. That was planned like forever, for decades. That was in the plans. But I honestly thought they would never do it. They had it marked out where the bridge was going to be and everything, but I really didn't think they were ever going to do it. But when we came back from Benin, and I got truck driving again, lo and behold, they actually finished it. I'm not sure how far the 30 went beforehand, but now it goes all the way across the river. So that saves a ton of time and traffic. There is a toll bridge, which I'm not really sure what the toll is for a car, or even for a truck, because we have a transponder, a plastic thing that just is automatic, deducts money. But it is a major, major time saver. You will get caught in traffic here too, but it avoids going through Montreal and going, say, on the 40 on the Metropolitan, which any time of day is going to be pretty jammed and sometimes right out of standstill. So the idea of avoiding the island of Montreal, if you don't need to go in, is a good one. There's not a whole lot of signage here. You see right there, it doesn't even say Ontario on that sign. It did earlier. If you're not paying attention, you can easily miss it. But we're getting off to take the 30 to go west. You can also take it to go east to Sorel Tracy, but I've never been up there. Some of it obviously is not new. It's been here for a while, some of this 30, but at the very end by the bridge, you can tell that looks like it's fairly new. I can't tell you when it was all built. I just know it wasn't here before, the end part, and now it is, which is nice. Makes a big difference. Hating this interchange right here, it's the stupidest thing ever. Whoever thought, and I know highways do have these, the idea that people are merging onto one highway as you're exiting the other all in the same area is just asking for an accident or a fender bender. It is so stupid. Like, that needs to be redone, clearly. Need to do like they do in Ontario, where you have big, long, sweeping exits and go over top, and you got kind of spaghetti, so no one's really crisscrossing. Montreal does have 3.5 million people in the metro area, maybe more than that even. So they should know better than to have stupid exits like that, but they don't. So now we get on to the 30. At rush hour in the evening, on the other direction, the traffic is always locked up right there for at least 2, 3, 4 kilometers, bumper to bumper, barely moving, especially on Friday. Sometimes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a little bit better. And then also, funny thing is, it'll be busy going this direction too, which I believe will be people coming from Montreal that live over here. Usually rush hour is only busy in one direction, like you're either leaving or coming, but where this road kind of parallels the island, you kind of get busy in both directions, because some people are trying to get away from Montreal or driving through. Other people are trying to drive to their house. So it's one of those few places in a big city where it's busy both ways at rush hour, which is kind of interesting. And so right here it's usually pretty busy. Not too often you can go full speed right here, except in the middle of the night or maybe early morning. There's almost always a little bit of a backup. Sometimes up here, the exit for the Jacques Cartier Bridge will back up, especially at rush hour, which is kind of funny. It doesn't really make sense that you would back up going towards Montreal, except maybe that there's a bunch of houses in there. But you always got to be paying attention here, because people will cut you off. They will, if they get tired of going slow in the right-hand lane, which you notice they're going slower in the right hand than the left here. Another place where you want to hang in the left if you can, if it makes sense to do so. And they will cut you off. They don't always use their signal lights here in Quebec. They're better now than they used to be. But you gotta always sort of be on edge, waiting for someone to come out without their signal light. Don't be surprised, it's bound to happen. But if you're prepared for it, they won't catch you off guard. You'll be ready. So because I never drove on this road, this 30 before, I'm not really sure how much it was here before, but you can tell this road's pretty beat up right here, so clearly it was here for a long time. It doesn't look like a whole lot right here. It's fairly new in this part. It looks like it's probably the way it's been for 20 years, but could be wrong. A little bit farther, we'll see some new construction that is going up. They're putting in a new rail line. I don't think it's going to be classified as a subway. I believe it'll be elevated rail. They might still call it the metro maybe, but it looks like it's going to be an elevated rail line, and then some of it will be on the ground, of course, like a normal train. So that's from Montreal to the South Shore, so that'll be good for commuting anyways. But it's quite a big project by the looks of it. Not sure how much it costs, but it's been under construction for a long time. So we'll drive by that. We'll give you a glimpse of that, how it's coming along. It looks like it's coming along pretty good there now. For a while, it felt like there wasn't a lot of progress. Now it's looking pretty good though. So this area here is, that's where you can turn to go to Jacques Cartier there, which will actually take you right back into Montreal, the island. We're not really that far from the island right now. Kilometer-wise, we're not too far. I'll try the right-hand lane here. It looks like there's a little bit of space, so I'll just hang it up here. This is also a good spot to get boxed in. It happens all the time. But if there's big openings like this, I'll just get over to the right and not mess people over. I don't want to be a jerk for no reason. So this is kind of like the Montreal area, Champlain, you can call it Brossard, Longueuil. I'm not really sure where one stops and the other starts. I guess it's all kind of like Brossard, Longueuil, I guess. Porsche dealer in the right hand side. If you were wondering where the Porsche dealer is, it's right there. I wouldn't have enough money to pay for a test drive, let alone buy one. But so here you get a lot of slow traffic right here. Like right now, you see I had to slow down a bit. Only going about 93. Above that gray car, it's wide open, but that happens a lot in this stretch where someone will just get in the left lane and just go slow just because they can. And there's really nothing you can do about it. It just kind of is what it is. And right here, as it is right now, this can block up pretty good. Usually the backup here will either be for this next exit, or it'll be for the highway going into Montreal. The 15, one of the highways I should say. The 10 I guess, sorry, 10, not 15. So this is to be expected. It's 2:46 right now, local time. So you're basically in your pre-rush hour. And like I had said earlier in the video, anytime after 1, like anything's up for grabs. Don't be surprised if it I noticed, because you heard me say there's 3.5 to 4 million people that live in the metro area, like you count all the towns and cities that are kind of attached to Montreal itself. And right now, as you can see, we're on a 4-lane highway. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Like, clearly this highway should be 6 lanes, 3 on each side at least, if not 8, really, because it's built to funnel the traffic going to Ontario and the rest of Western Canada, or even Western states, away from Montreal. So obviously this is taking a lot of traffic right here. The roads should be wider. One thing about Quebec that is funny is in and around Montreal, there's a lot of places like this where it should be more lanes than it is, and then just for whatever, this one especially is probably the worst. It really should be 6 lanes here, at least till the 10, and it should be 6 lanes where we first started the video. That should be full 6 lanes there too, just because of the amount of traffic. But I don't think there's anything in the works. I've never heard anything. It doesn't look like anyone's even thinking about doing that, so I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. So usually if it's choking up right here, it's going to choke up to that next exit, Grand Alley. Sometimes it'll choke up right to the 10. I'm guessing where it's close to rush hour, it's probably going to go right to the 10. A lot of people getting off work or starting their shift or whatnot. I would probably say, if I had to compare Toronto and Montreal, even though Toronto has roughly 2.5 million more people in the general GTA area than Montreal, I would say Montreal's traffic usually is worse, because the GTA area has more highways, bigger highways, wider highways, better thought out exits and entrances. They've got that express lanes. It's just very well thought out. I mean, it's still heavy traffic, but I don't think they could have designed that any better, really. The only thing they can do is add more lanes, whereas here in Quebec, they need more lanes, but there's a lot of the highways that are not well thought out. They're kind of mismatched. Although they're slowly whittling away on the 15 on the island. That's getting better. They're trying to get rid of some of the left-hand exits, which was a bad idea to have left-hand exits the way they're set up there. So, because you had a similar idea of guys getting on, then within 1.5 kilometers, they all had to get over to the left lane. They had to cross over 3 lanes of traffic in 1.5 kilometers. Well, of course, that's going to cause a big backup, right? So you see it opened up a little bit here. It'll slow down a little bit more by the 10, which is just up ahead. And then it should be somewhat open after that. If you look to the right-hand side, just past this IKEA distribution building, you see the cranes there. There's like 3 or 4 cranes. That is really coming along, that project there. Some of the things are open. There's a couple hotels. Looks like a lot of condos. No doubt shops at the bottom. So that's brand new. All of that is very new. None of that was there before, because I used to take this 10 all the time. That's highway we're crossing right here. So this place is really getting built up pretty good, especially on that corner right here on the right hand side. And then if you look to the left, you'll see that's where the new rail is going to stop. That's where they're probably going to do the maintenance and stuff on the rail. You see the bridge for it right there. If you look to the right as you cross the bridge, you'll see the rail going right down the middle of Highway 10. At that point, it's not elevated, it's just level, but it does elevate at certain points. And so, I don't know what they're going to call it. I don't know if it's going to connect with the subway line and be sort of like a subway at the other end. I'm not really sure. They call those the metro here, so I imagine it's still going to be called the metro. But anyways, usually by the time you get by there, the 10, usually it opens up quite well, and you're choke up a little bit between here and the 15, which is the next major highway, but usually it's not too bad. They were doing quite a bit of construction this summer and fall, so that slowed things down quite a bit, but now they've got most of that put away. So it's usually clear sailing by the time you get to this point. There's fairly busy traffic as you see up ahead. It's solid, the traffic, not a whole lot of gaps, but usually you're going pretty well full speed. Also a bunch of new condos there on the right hand side, so that is being built up as well. And as you can see, it's mostly farmland on the left, so obviously that hasn't been bought up yet. Give it time and it'll get bought and made into commercial or condos or industrial. It's just a matter of time. Even on the right there's a little bit of fields. So this, as you can see on that side, it's La Prairie here. And that would extend over to the Highway 15. Now the Highway 10 back there, I didn't tell you where it goes, but I will now. It goes to basically to Sherbrooke, although it does meet the 55. But if you keep taking it, you'll eventually find your way to Sherbrooke. Or you can take the 55 going south and go into Vermont, which will eventually get you into New Hampshire if you want, onto Interstate 91 and 93 if you go into New Hampshire. Used to travel that a lot with one of my other jobs years ago. Used to haul sewer and plumbing pipe a lot out of Vermont, so I was always on that road. Used to haul steel heating fuel tanks as well out of Granby steel tanks. Not sure if the company still, I think it is, but used to haul those all the time, the heating places and plumbing places. So I did a lot of those roads down in Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Almost every place that buys tanks I've been into, even been down as far as Maryland to the port area where they put them on ships and ship them off. A little bit in New York, not a ton in New Jersey though. So that's where the 10 goes. It basically stops once it gets into the island. It kind of stops right there. The 15 takes over. But the 30 here, it goes all the way over to the 20 and even past the 20. It connects with the 40. And so it goes quite a ways, and then the other way I'd already mentioned, it goes to Sorrel Tracy. As you can see, some people don't like the weight. This guy here beside me is trying to thread the needle, didn't quite make it. Yeah, it's another place here. Traffic is kind of busy like you see. You're better off staying over here because you're just going to get blocked in the other way. Because you're going to pass them. There's a lot of people just go 90 and they're happy with that. Now the 15 up here, it's an interesting one. You see the exit ports right here. It's kind of a funny exit because you really don't cross the 15 right here. The 15's kind of up ahead, but just the way they made this highway, they couldn't connect the two. So right at the actual connection, so they made sort of this very elongated ramp type thing. But anyways, 15, if you take it and go south, you go into New York and you connect with the 87, I believe. Yeah, the 87. And you can go down through upstate New York there. And so that'll get you through Plattsburgh. You can go right to New York City. If you're going to go from Montreal to New York City, that's exactly what you do. You take the 15, go straight down through New York. It's only Saint-Amand, Saint-Sauveur. I forget exactly where the 15 stops. I'm thinking Saint Agatha de Mont, I think, maybe Saint. So it's one or the other, where it stops being the 15 and ends up being, I think, the 115. So it stays as a 4-lane, but you can like turn off and on the businesses and houses and stuff. And then not a whole lot further, it drops down to 2 lanes. And if you keep going on that road, it'll go to Mount Laurier. And if you really go up further, it'll go up to Val d'Or and Rayun-Noranda and that area there, and that's kind of where it dies off right there, which is roughly about 4 hours north of Montreal. A lot of mountains. There's a big park there. They call it National Park. Really, it's a provincial park, but in Quebec they call it National Park. Nice spot, secluded, whatnot. A lot of wilderness. Driven through there a few times in the truck. Once in my vehicle when I was moving. So the 15's actually below us right now. And so for the rest of the 30, it's not really worthy of doing a video because it's kind of feels like farmland. Feels like it's a little bit newer, so I'm thinking maybe some of this wasn't here before. And so we'll sign off there. That gives you an idea how to bypass Montreal. Once you get to this point, usually there's never any traffic unless there's an accident or something. It's pretty wide open now, almost any time of day or night, and usually in pretty decent shape right here, either direction.